Have you ever felt like you're fighting alone, even when surrounded by people? Have you ever asked yourself, is God truly with me, or has He forgotten me? If you're walking through a dry season, an invisible battle, then the promise in Isaiah 43 is the answer you've been searching for. I have called you by name. You are mine. And from the moment you believe that, everything begins to change. Are you walking through fire or drowning in water? It's not because you've done something wrong, but because God is preparing something no one could have expected. He didn't promise to stop the flames, but He did promise you will not be burned. He didn't say the waters wouldn't rise, but He declared they will not sweep you away. It is within these very trials that you will discover a powerful truth. You were not meant to merely survive. You were chosen to walk in the authority of the one who called you by name. Isaiah 43 is not just a passage you read quietly in the morning. It's not merely a verse printed on a blessing card. It is a declaration, a voice echoing from heaven, cutting through all the noise of this world, reaching straight into your heart. This is God speaking to you, not to a nameless crowd, but directly, personally, He says. I have called you by name, you are mine. Do you feel the weight of those words? This isn't a soft suggestion. It's a powerful proclamation from the Creator. The one who made the heavens, the earth, the seas, and all living things now speaks to you with perfect love and unwavering certainty. You are mine. Pause for a moment and let that sink in. The one who hung the sun, arranged the stars, and breathed out the planets knows your name. He didn't create the universe and then abandon you to fend for yourself in the chaos of life. Not at all. He is here with you every step you take. He is not distant. He is near. And He wants you to know that no matter how loud the noise gets out there, no matter how many battles life throws your way, there is a presence that will never leave you. His presence. In today's world, people are chasing after so many things. They run after success, fame, celebrated relationships, and even vague ideas of self-worth. They keep exchanging one thing for another, hoping that eventually they'll find peace. But here's the strange truth. The more they search, the emptier they feel. It's as if everything is for sale, except the true rest of the soul. And here is a powerful truth many are afraid to admit. You will never find real peace without the presence of God. You could have it all, money, status, influence, everything the world praises, but without Him, you'll still feel lost. Because you were made for Him. Your soul was designed to be connected to Him, and the enemy knows that. He will whisper every kind of lie to make you doubt that you've been forgotten, that you're not enough, that God has turned away from you. But it's in those moments of doubt that the words from Isaiah 43 ring out like light piercing the darkness. Do not be afraid, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name. You are mine. This is not a vague promise. It's an unshakable truth. When God calls you His, nothing, not your past, not your mistakes, not any judgment, can undo that. He does not abandon those who belong to Him. He does not turn away. He does not forget. But here's the real question. Are you living like you believe that? Do you walk each day as a beloved child, protected and accompanied by God? Are you living in worry and fear, wondering if He still sees you at all? Hearing a promise is one thing. Believing and living by that promise is another. And I want to say this clearly. The moment you truly believe that His presence is with you, not just in theory, but in the reality of your life, everything changes. The way you see yourself changes. The way you face difficulties changes. The way you rise after a fall changes. Because you know you are not alone. Look at Moses. When God called him to lead the Israelites out of Egypt, He didn't ask for more power, more miracles, or more guards. He asked for one thing. If your presence does not go with us, do not lead us up from here. Moses understood that nothing was more valuable than the presence of God. Nothing could replace it. Without Him, Everything else was meaningless. And that is the posture we need to adopt today. Not merely chasing blessings or external success and calling it God's sign, but a heart that says with certainty, Lord, if your presence is not in it, I don't want it. Whether it's a new opportunity, a relationship, or a direction for the future without Him, it is all empty. When the presence of God is with you, fear cannot take root. Anxiety has to retreat. Confusion has no place to stay. You may still walk through difficult seasons, but you will never walk them alone. You may still face challenges, but you will not be defeated. Because He is your refuge, your shield, your one unshakable source of peace. And what's so wonderful is that Isaiah 43 doesn't say that God stands somewhere high above giving directions. No, He is with you, not watching from afar, not issuing commands from heaven. He is beside you in your tears, in your battles, in the moments when you feel the weakest. When you are struggling, He is there. When you feel forgotten, He is still there. When you have no answers left for your life, He does not walk away. And when you pray, even if that prayer is just a sigh in the middle of the night, you are not speaking into the air. You are speaking to the one who is listening, who knows, and who is already at work. I know someone may be thinking, but I don't feel Him. And I want to say this clearly. Faith is not a feeling. Faith is believing in what He said. And He said, I have called you by name. You are mine. That means even when you don't feel anything, He is still there. Even when you're tired, overwhelmed, and exhausted, His presence has not withdrawn, and it is precisely when you begin to pray, when you lift your hands and surrender even in silence, that you start to realize something. His presence never left. It was always there, waiting for you to believe, waiting for you to open your heart. So ask yourself, are you living with confidence in His presence? Or are you letting fear lead the way? Are you walking as someone who knows they are redeemed, called, and loved? Or are you still doubting if He's even there? Because the truth is, you don't need to beg for the presence of God. You don't need to chase after His attention. He has already promised. He has already called you by name. And what you need to do is step into that promise, pray with expectation, live with conviction, walk like someone who knows they're not alone. When you do that, you'll begin to see that fear starts to lose its power. Doubt loses its grip. And you're no longer someone just trying to survive. You become a child of the Most High God, anchored in His love and presence, because He has called you by name. And from that moment on, your life is never the same again. And when you truly live with the conviction that you belong to God, something else begins to reveal itself. Fear. Fear is a thief. It doesn't knock, it doesn't announce itself. It sneaks in when you're weak, when you're off guard, when you think you've got everything under control. Then it whispers, softly, but just enough to shake even the strongest faith. It tells you that you're not good enough. It reminds you of your failures. It plants the idea that you've gone too far, done too much for God to ever love you again, that you're alone, that you have no more chances left. But stop and listen closely to this. Fear does not come from God. Isaiah 43 leaves no room for doubt. Do not fear, for I have redeemed you. It's clear and direct. It's not a gentle comfort. It's a command from the Almighty Himself. The one who knows exactly what you're battling. The one who sees fear lurking around you every day. And He is saying, do not fear. You see, fear is not just a feeling. It's a battle. An invisible but very real one. And it's not just an emotional struggle. It's a spiritual confrontation. The enemy will seize every opportunity to bind you with fear, to keep you from stepping into the life God has prepared for you. He will use fear to make you question yourself, to doubt your worth, even to doubt your salvation. But God's word is crystal clear. You don't have to live in fear because you have been redeemed. Not you will be, but you have been. And that redemption isn't temporary. It's not dependent on your ever-changing emotions. It's not based on whether you're living perfectly or not. That redemption is an unshakable truth. When God calls you His, no one can separate you from Him. I don't know what you've been through. Maybe it's loss. Maybe betrayal. Maybe regret over a wrong decision in your past. I don't know how much pressure you've been carrying, how many times your soul has collapsed. But there's one thing I do know for certain. God's redemption is always greater than your past. Some of us have carried guilt and shame for far too long. We've believed the lie that what we've done is unforgivable, that it's too late, that there's no hope left. But open your Bible and look again at Isaiah 43. It doesn't say do not fear unless you've messed up too much. It doesn't say do not fear, but only if you've lived righteously. No. It says very simply, do not fear, for I have redeemed you. That sentence places no conditions. It's a declaration. Do you see that? Your past does not get to define you. Your failures do not have the final say. When God redeems you, He doesn't just pull you out of darkness and leave you in the rubble. No. He restores. He makes all things new. He gives you a new identity, a new future. Even when the world tries to remind you of who you used to be, God looks at you and says, you are mine. Do you hear that? Not someone else. You belong to Him. And that is exactly why you don't need to be afraid. Because if you belong to God, then what can the enemy do? If you truly are His, then what on this earth can steal that security from His hand? And yet so many people are still living in fear. Why? Because they're fighting battles that don't belong to them. They're trying to prove their worth, trying to fix what's broken, trying to control outcomes that should be left in God's hands. Maybe you're one of them, trying too hard, tired for too long, and still seeing no change. But let me say this to you. Redemption belongs to God, not to you. That means you don't have to strain to be worthy. You don't have to fix everything before coming near to Him. You don't have to find a way to make Him love you more. The truth is, He already loves you. He has already redeemed you. He has already paid the price for you. And it is precisely when you understand this, when you stop trying to save yourself, that fear begins to lose its power, because fear thrives on uncertainty. It makes you ask questions like, what if God doesn't show up in time? What if I fail again? What if I'm not enough? But faith is different. Faith says, I don't need to have all the answers. I just need to know the one who holds all the answers. When you truly recognize that you have been redeemed, you are no longer a prisoner of fear. You stop running from the darkness. You begin to walk like someone who knows their worth, not with arrogance, but also not in insecurity. Simply walking in salvation and grace, and in the identity that God has given you. There is something miraculous that happens when a person knows for sure that they have been redeemed. They are not afraid of judgmental stares. They are not dragged down by the past. They do not crumble under every trial, not because they are stronger than others, but because they know they are not walking alone. They belong to God. And if He is with them, then nothing can bring them to despair. Are you living as someone who has been redeemed? Or are you still letting fear dictate every decision? Still living with the mindset that you're not good enough, that you have to try harder, that you need to do more to be worthy? Remember this, you don't have to be afraid anymore. Not of the past, not of the future, not of what people think, not of what hasn't happened yet. Because the one who redeemed you is holding everything in His hands. And He will never let you go. Maybe you're still confused, still struggling with burdens you haven't spoken out loud. But even in that, God is gently whispering a loving reminder, you belong to me. And from here, we will keep walking together to more clearly see how He walks with you through the fire, through the waters, through seasons that seem to have no way out. When you begin to live with the conviction that you belong to God, there may still be moments when you wonder, does He still see me? Does He still love me? Is He really here in this situation? If you ever feel that way, remember this promise. Do not be afraid, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by your name. You are mine. That is not just a comforting phrase. It is the powerful voice of your heavenly Father, the one who paid with his very life to have you. And when he has called you, his no power can snatch you from his hand. Life will never be easy. There will be moments when the waters rise so high you feel like you're about to drown. There will be raging fires that make you wonder if you'll make it through. But listen closely. God never promised you wouldn't walk through deep waters, and he never said you wouldn't pass through fire. He only promised one thing, and that is enough to keep you standing. When you walk through it, you won't walk alone. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. When you pass through the rivers, they will not overwhelm you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. That is the promise found in Isaiah 43. A divine assurance that the presence of God is irreplaceable. Some of you are living in the middle of a storm where wave after wave keeps crashing down. Just as you catch your breath, another wave hits. The battles you're fighting, no one around you truly understands. The burdens you carry are so heavy that sometimes even you forget why you're still holding on to them. And the enemy very cunningly whispers, if God really loved you, he wouldn't let you go through this. But the presence of trials is not proof of God's absence. On the contrary, it may be the clearest sign that he is very near. You may not hear him, you may not feel him, but that doesn't mean he isn't there. Sometimes it is in that very silence that he is doing his greatest work. He is holding you up, making a way where you see only a wall. Remember the story of Daniel's 3 friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They weren't thrown into the fire for doing something wrong. They were thrown in because they dared to stand for what was right. They refused to bow to the image, and for that they were sentenced. But when the king looked into the fire, he didn't just see 3 men. He saw a 4th walking among them, not burned, not harmed. God didn't stop them from entering the fire. He didn't intervene beforehand, but he showed up in the middle of the flames. And because of that, they came out not even smelling like smoke. That is the God you worship. He is not just the God of peaceful days. He is the God of valleys, of storms, of pain. He doesn't only appear when you're on the mountaintop. He walks with you in the darkest places. When you're weary with nothing left to hold on to, he is your support. When you don't know how to move forward, he is the one who leads you. And when you are on the verge of collapse, it is his hand that lifts you up. But you must keep moving. You can't stop in the fire. You can't pitch your tent in the middle of the storm. The enemy wants you to believe that your current trial is the end of your story. He wants you to give up before you see the miracle waiting on the other side. But God never said the fire wouldn't come. He only said it wouldn't consume you. He never said you wouldn't walk through the waters. He only said they wouldn't sweep you away. Therefore, you can keep walking. You can keep believing. Not because you are strong, but because the one walking with you is stronger than anything that comes against you. Maybe you've asked, why do I have to go through this? But perhaps it's time to change the question to, Lord, what are you trying to teach me through all of this? Because sometimes the fire doesn't come to destroy you, but to refine you. Sometimes the waters don't come to drown you, but to teach you how to float by faith. And when you come out of that season, you will be stronger, you will be wiser. You will be more deeply rooted in his presence than ever before. The enemy thought this fire would finish you. He thought these waves would knock you down. He thought this storm would extinguish the faith you had. But he didn't know that God is using all of it to build you, to make you unshakable. To show you that true faith isn't measured by peace, but by your ability to keep believing in the middle of the storm. And it is in those very trying moments that you will realize your faith doesn't rest in your circumstances. Your faith rests in the one who never changes. This journey doesn't end here. There's a deeper truth still waiting to be discovered, where you are not only protected but transformed from within. When you begin to believe that God's presence has never left you, something strange begins to happen. You start walking differently. You realize you were never as alone as you thought. And in that realization, you discover a strength that nothing can take away. There is a very real power in knowing to whom you belong. In a world that constantly tries to label you and define you by cold standards, only the identity given by God can keep you standing firm. When everything around you shakes, the one who knows they belong to Him will not be easily swept away. I have called you by your name. You are mine. That sentence is not just a sweet comfort. It is a declaration. It is the resounding voice of the Most High, who not only calls your name, but has engraved you on the palm of His hand. And once God has called you His, no power, not even time, failure, or sin can change that. And yet many of us have spent our whole lives trying to prove we are worthy, trying to find love in places that could never truly satisfy, forcing ourselves to fit into spaces we were never meant to belong. You've allowed the comments, criticism, and wounds from others to shape the image you see in the mirror every day. Maybe someone once told you that you weren't good enough, and you believed it. Maybe life has crushed your dreams so many times that you started to wonder, do I even matter? The answer is yes. And not only that you matter deeply in the eyes of your Creator. Let me make this clear. You are not what the world says you are. You are not your past, not your mistakes, not the times you fell. You belong to God. And when He says you are mine, He is not speaking to the perfect, polished, flawless version of you. He is calling you the real you, with the cracks, the weariness, the moments of weakness. He didn't choose you because you are perfect. He chose you because He loves you. And that love comes from who He is, not from what you've achieved. God is faithful. When He makes a promise, He keeps it. When He calls, He does not take it back. But the enemy is the opposite. He will do everything he can to make you forget that. He will remind you of every mistake you've ever made, every time you failed, every weakness you've tried to hide. He will whisper that you're not enough, that you've gone too far to return, that you've ruined everything. He won't stop at just words. He will use people. He will use circumstances. He will use prolonged silence to make you believe you've been abandoned. And once you begin to believe those lies, you will reject your own calling. You will limit yourself, not because God rejected you, but because you believe the enemy's voice instead of the Creator's. But remember this, God does not call you by your mistakes. He does not call you by your failures. He called you by your name, your true name, the name He knew before you were formed in your mother's womb. And that name carries meaning, carries love, and carries divine intention. When the enemy says you are worthless, God looks at you and says you are mine. When the world declares you are not good enough, God says you are mine. Even when your own heart doubts and fear rises, His voice remains unwavering. You belong to me. And if you truly belong to God, then nothing else can define you but Him. Not rejection, not other people's opinions, not the times you've fallen. Your worth doesn't come from how many people agree with you, how many followers you have, how much wealth or success you've accumulated. Your true worth comes from the one who created you, the one who redeemed you with His own life, and the one who calls you His. Have you ever stopped to think about what that really means? It means you no longer have to live to please everyone. You don't have to keep running in the endless race of comparison. You don't have to try to become something you're not. You can walk in confidence not because you are perfect, but because you know whose you are. It's heartbreaking how many people live as if they don't belong, as if they've been forgotten, as if they are just a shadow passing quietly through life. But today, God is looking at you and saying, you belong to me. Not someday in the future, not after you fix all your mistakes, right now, in this very moment. You don't need to search for your identity in things that will never satisfy. You don't need to let old wounds dictate your future. You don't need to let words of doubt steal the truth He planted in your heart before time began. And the most astounding part is this, when God calls you His, it is not a temporary promise. He does not say, "You are mine," until you mess up again. He does not say, "You are mine as long as you keep doing right." No. He says, "You belong to me forever, forever." A love that never changes. A commitment that never wavers. Arms that will never let you go. So stand firm in that truth. Let that declaration be the foundation you walk on each day. Even when the world doubts you, even when people don't understand you, even when circumstances get hard, do not forget, God has called you by name. And you, yes, you belong to Him.